YouTube. A lot has happened in the past month or so, but I'm gonna make this a quick video. Obviously there's been a debate where Biden, who looked like absolute garbage. Not that Trump really said any truthful statements, if you ask me, but Biden he was like, terrible, and then he eventually, I think people realized that's what kind of started the whole he needs to drop out, which he now has. Trump was shot in the ear. And then of course, like I just said, Biden drops out. But the main topic of this video is, and it's going to be pretty quick. Nobody watches these anyway. I don't know. Maybe I just don't hit the algorithm or some shit. But it's Destiny's correct about this whole. We have to be extremely kind to the people who, to the victim at the fatality at the Trump rally, and people like Lex Friedman, who claim to be centrist, and yet they are very, very always charitable to the right and are always skeptical of the left, and then just hide behind this "well, I'm a centrist" thing. It's so true, and it's to the point where you know I see Destiny's point. I don't root for death, and I don't know if it's the most tactful way to illustrate the point, but I see what he's doing, and I don't necessarily disavow what he's doing either. We have it does seem like whenever there's a victim who's more on the right wing, we have to do this healing, and we can't let this divide us. And again, you shouldn't support death and violence, but at the same time, I don't think that the left needs to be okay, well, we're gonna calm down. Um, we're not gonna be overly safe with this particular victim. It's no. It's if you're a leftist and you think Trump's a fucking clown, why fuck him. Don't root for death, but at the same time, you don't need to put the kiddie gloves on for the next 3 weeks because of this crap either. And I do see his point. It does seem like that the left has to be they're held to a higher standard when it comes to this morality, and I see his point. I do disagree with the left on some things. For example, I think the left is overly obsessed with blank slate and things like the phrase "that's just a social construct" when it's not. Even gender, I know the definition of it is gender's the socially constructed part, sex is the biological. It's nothing is just socially constructed or just biological. You can't isolate a social, every social construct has some level of neurological roots in it. Now you can say, well, you can kind of cause people to think it's do you need to believe in the things that you believe in, which might cause the brain to act differently or something. I don't know. I'm getting a little bit spitballing here, but this notion that every, social construct that's just a social construct, that's mostly bullshit. There's a neurological component to everything we do. It's not the only component, but there's a neurological component to almost everything we do. With that said, Destiny is correct that the left is always more highly criticized in these type of events, while the right is kind of babied, and I can see why he'd be pissed off. So yeah, I see his point, and I actually support him. Now, does this mean vote Kamala, whatever? I don't care. I think she's the better candidate than Trump, and this is coming from a left-leaning person who also sympathizes with, I do have some sympathy with, incels. I do think men have to work harder in some ways to get dates. I don't know if that but if you think that means support a candidate who tried to overthrow democracy, which Donald Trump did try to do, it's you're hyper obsessed with Trump to the way that some middle-aged woman was hyper obsessed with Hillary in 2016. And I actually think there's more of a cult of personality around Trumpers than some middle-aged white woman who's some neoliberal feminist type was for Hillary Clinton back in 2016. I do see that same level of obsession, or even higher obsession with Trump. I think Trump is not as... I don't understand why, if you are somebody anywhere similar to my situation, early 30s, lonely, wishes a girl was interested in him, and you still think that like Trump's some good candidate for you, you're out of your mind. Um, you're obsessed with you know you've been corrupted by probably starting around the Gamergate era of thinking that oh, I want to watch these wrecked feminist compilations, and there is stupid shit that feminists say plenty of times. I don't think that discredits the whole movement, but yeah, I agree. There's feminists are the biggest when it comes to my I can't stand the phrase "that's just a social construct." It's just not true. And on the left wing, they're more likely to say it. And who in the left wing is the most likely to say it? It's probably like blank slate feminist types. Um, and I just completely disagree with that whole phrase. So it's like I agree. There are legitimate criticisms of feminism, but Donald Trump is a criminal and needs to be. I mean, he's not the better candidate in 20. He wasn't the better candidate in 2016. He was not the better candidate in 2020. The 2020 election was not rigged. Get over it. Just accept the fact that Trump lost. And in 2024, this year, Trump is not the better candidate. He's not gonna make you have a better life. He's just not. The main issue with why the economy has only been getting worse and worse every year, and this is dating back all the way. I would argue we've never truly fully recovered from the financial collapse of 2007, 2008. The only reason why the economy is getting worse and worse is because there's less stuff for people to do because people are now terminally online, and a small handful of websites and a small handful of brick and mortar stores control a larger percentage of the economy than ever before. This is the product of just it's honestly a product of decadence in a way. Um, you know, the amount of people I know who their entire life revolves around like their Spotify Premium, their YouTube and Instagram, and then like a TikTok. And then, of course, offline, it will be maybe the one place they work, but then it would also be like, okay, a place where they buy their groceries, a Target, a Kroger, a bank. The banking industry obviously still has a huge prominence, and those are physical kind of locations. But yeah, that's really the issue. You want to know why? It's because your local communities, the velocity of money in these local communities and cities and towns is all grinding to a halt because everyone now just their money is funneled to, you know, the tech bro world of Netflix, Instagram, TikTok, Amazon, and then of course, the handful of, maybe you still buy groceries or something, and you download an app for everything. You now buy, you have to have you DoorDash, which by the way, you're now spending more money for lukewarm food. But you're that lazy that you can't just spend an extra 10 minutes to drive in your car to McDonald's and buy the burgers. So yeah, I mean, I think all of the tech culture, has caused stagnant society. The example I always use is at their peaks, Kodak and Polaroid employed like 50, 60,000 people each, and Instagram employs like 15. Now, keep in mind that, um, now not every, Kodak and Polaroid, not everybody in the world of cameras or whatever is just working for Instagram. So, some people engineers might work on the next camera zoom lens for your iPhone or your smartphone. So there's that, and there's things like that. But for the most part, it's just there's fewer people with like a salaried job in that field. And keep in mind, back in the day, out of those 50, 60,000 employees for Kodak and Polaroid, yeah, there were some people on an hourly wage job that probably couldn't really afford much, but, they actually probably could afford more than today because, again, a one-bedroom apartment in 1985 was like, what, $400? Holy shit, that bird is red as fuck. That was cool. But, yeah, I mean, the economy was, actually the velocity of money was faster and algorithms weren't controlling everything. So, somebody on an hourly wage back in the 80s probably could afford a one-bedroom apartment way easier. You could afford college way easier. And this is, again, the real issue is the amount of people who don't go outside. They're addicted to the internet, and that's why the economy has been tanking. And because anybody who sits here and says that it just started with Joe Biden is brain dead and either A, very, very young, or B, just needs to blame one person for it. Okay, your life got shittier year by year under Trump. Your life got shittier year by year under Obama. Your life got shittier year by year under Bush. Okay, now Clinton, that was probably the last time of American growth. It wasn't really because of Clinton or Republicans or Democrats. It was just a product of the fact that there were more avenues that were being opened up. The internet hadn't solidified yet. The internet was still this new thing, and it was, there was a lot of inefficiencies for people to exploit. The economy is, you want it to be inefficient if you're the individual. That allows you to maybe find a way into a higher position. But yeah, I'm sick and tired. I got way off topic here. Destiny's correct. And almost everybody who complains and says how, it's like they just mock him because his wife divorced him. It's the same shit every time. His wife divorced him. He's a pussy. He's only 5'7" or some shit. It's never really about the issues. It's like there's a lot of insecurity with liberal women and conservative men, is what I've noticed. This doesn't mean men have to be liberal and women have to be ultra conservative, but I do notice very similar insecurities with very, very passionate liberal women and very, very passionate conservative men. A lot of insecurities with the both of them. Destiny's correct. Over the past couple of weeks, he's been in the news. And that's my thoughts, and I'm out.